Hello, everybody. Lisa Bowles, otherwise known as the Soul Mapper here. It is, let me refer to the date. Yes, it's Friday, October the 24th, 2025. It's 1 o'clock on the nose, Eastern time. And it is time for Live for November. I'm not going to be on screen today. I have a little bout with pink eye. I look like I've been punched. So, because my right eye is almost shut. I feel fine. I'm going to see the doctor. Everything's fine. Please don't be concerned. It just means I'm just not ready for prime time, shall we say. So I just want to say a quick hello to the folks who are here. Hi, Alex. Hi, Faye. Isabel. Marilyn C. Melissa, Nancy, and Shayona. Hello. And Karen is joining, but it's taking her a little bit of time to arrive. November, holy moly. I know you hear me say that a lot, and it's kind of the times. So we're going to dive right in. Thank you, Erica, for keeping your eye on folks as they're joining, because I'm going to keep my eye on all that we have to cover, okay? Yeah, holy. I'm going to keep my eyes on my notes because there's just so much to cover. I don't want to miss anything. You want to move to the next slide, please, Erica? Now, as always, I want to strongly encourage you to touch back in with the big backbeats of the year. They are alive. Oh my goodness, they are alive. And they add significantly to the flavor and character of each month, never more so than now. And I just wanted to refer you to that. Okay, next slide, please. Now, shorter influences. Some, just another week or two to go, some a few months. Again, to refer you back to them, you might want to take a screenshot of this. Okay, because holy moly. I would take a screenshot of this and put it someplace as a visual cue. You always have previous lives and their notes or their notes. So if you need to refer back to something and refresh yourself, you can. Okay? Because again, having some sway over the character and flavor of the current month. Okay? At least to a degree. Okay. Next slide, please. November. There's a lot. All right. So November the 4th till December the 15th, our action instinct, otherwise known as Mars, is expressing through Sagittarius. Fire, Mars, and fire, Sagittarius. But Sagittarius expresses fire particularly. So, visionary dreams. Oh my goodness. One of the key characteristics of the Sagittarian character is looking towards the vision and the magnitude and magnetism of that vision. So expect that your deepest dreams, your life's dream, or your calling's dream for what the world could be because you're here to contribute to that possible future, stirs wildly and in a way that pulls to action. Somebody's got their mic on. If you could toggle your mic off, that would be great. We just want to have a nice, clean recording. Thank you. So the character of this will be visionary dream pulling you to action. Now, here's one thing I want to make really clear. This isn't a cognitive kind of, oh, I see what the vision is. This will be more instinctual, more pulled in a direction that you may not feel like you have enough intellectual or cognitive information about yet. Trust your instincts, your deepest instincts. If you're pulled towards action in some way, investigate, follow it, at least to a degree. Folks who have felt stuck or quote unquote blocked, both words I'm not real big fan of, especially for purposeful people, because oh my goodness. You may find that you just start moving and then kind of go, wait a minute, I've been kind of kvetching for weeks or months about feeling blocked. When did that go away or dissipate? It's probably a better way of putting it. Okay. Don't be surprised if that happens. And if you are someone who works with people as a coach or a counselor, a therapist, a holistic healer, all those things, this is a good thing to keep in mind. It can be leaned into and worked with. Okay? Do keep that in mind. A couple of other things to keep in mind. One, many folks are likely to feel like it's time to either create a bucket list or revisit their bucket list and take action on something. Okay? If that's your purposeful work, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. This also will supercharge for some the pull to entrepreneurship. So if someone's been thinking about launching a business, even if it's a kitchen table or home office based business, or revitalizing or relaunching a piece of that business, or introducing something new within that work or business, ba-boom. And this will likely fill your proverbial tank with all kinds of go for it energy. Okay? Seriously. Now, one additional thing. The spirit of transparency, of truth telling, is really alive in this, but it has a bit of a twist. So that is still true. The spirit of transparency, very, very alive. Truth telling, or the discovery of, or the revelation of deeper layers of truth. And the alignment of that with action, so that your actions are truer. Okay? Now, the reason I'm going to pause here is that that could be enormously transformative for a whole bunch of people. And that kind of lines up with the whole business or business project, or because it's transformatively oriented. So transformative entrepreneurship or transformative work or business gets a serious boost because the orientation towards what's deeply true is very alive, and it's pushing us, those of us who are activated or called by this, into action that is a reflection of the truth our business represents or our work represents. And that adventurous spirit that we talked about before, combined with the spirit of transparency, that is something worth paying attention to as you consider leaning into this, if you are stirred by it or feel called. Okay? Now, this one doesn't last very long, but for a couple of months, holy cow. And notice that it ends on the 15th. Officially, the astrology ends, but the waves of influence on us, if we're called to this, can last well into the first and second quarter of next year. So, holy, worth keeping in mind. Okay? Next slide, please. November the 5th, full supermoon, not just a full moon, a full supermoon in Taurus. Whoa. Okay? Grounded, while shining a light on values, security, and everything you've been building throughout the year. Okay? I mean that most sincerely. The building of security, while it's asking you, so what kind of security do you need? Have you been thinking about that? Have you been thinking about that from a grounded place that's rooted in your values? Your values, not the values of the culture, your values. And just by the way, do you know what they are? Like, really? The other one that comes with this, so notice this is on the 5th, okay? Officially on the 5th here in the Northern Hemisphere. If you live in another time zone across the date line, it might be the next day. But still, the previous slide, we talked about our action instinct, Mars, shifting into Sagittarius. Yes, November 4th. And then the following day, along comes this. And in it is the call to anchor your visionary ideas into material reality. Huh? Okie dokie. It's going to heighten a desire also, and a heightened market for luxury, practical, sensual, human, yum, yum. Like, I love what touches my skin, the things I can smell. You get me? Luxury. Okay? The pull to experience more sensual pleasure. And I don't mean sex, although it can be that, but it is the yamana of being in a human body, experiencing human life with delight, with yum. Okay? So if your business offers luxury experiences or luxury goods, don't be surprised if you see a bit of a peak or a kick up. By kick up, I mean more business or more interest. You have a few weeks to say, hello, I'm over here. Have you seen this? One thing to keep in mind is that after this, a couple of weeks after this, although this might have ripples for quite some time, like months, there could be buyer's remorse as people go, oh, geez, man, I really shouldn't have spent that money. And returns and refund requests are possible. So take that into account as you engage and do business while this is having sway. Okay? Just budget it in, plan it in, so you can take care of yourself and your business. Okay? Okay. Next slide, please. November the 6th till the 30th. Our charisma of cause, otherwise known as Venus, is working through Scorpio. Wow. Okay. When Venus is here, magnetism, appeal is cranked up. Seriously, cranked up. Okay? Now, the thing that I want to just point out is the clickability. Your clickability with the people your work is about, your work story speaks to, okay? That's the factor you want to pay closest attention to, okay? I'm just going to say storytelling, and that somehow links to naturally, authentically, this isn't the made up kind, but values, again, because Venus is among those who carry our values and our sense of value. So those two things are related, often without our notice, but they're very related. And inside your work story is a natural and authentic reflection of the good or care your work does in the world. Okay? Because people are going to be drawn to that. And you'll be well served by channeling that energy, by being in your body, by being in dance, your connection to your own sensual appreciation of being human. Okay? Okay. Mystery and intrigue are also woven in here. They'll be hotter than usual. And just think about it this way. You know, if you watch a movie trailer or the trailer for a series you watch streaming online, There's mystery and intrigue in that. They don't tell you the whole story, but they give you enough to whet your appetite. That's what we're talking about. So if inside you you're going, oh, I don't like mystery or intrigue, that doesn't feel honest, that the whole transparency thing that we talked about earlier that still will be at sway, it can have some of us triggered by this because we think that's manipulative. We think that's, you can stand in this without that trigger holding the reins. Especially if your work is soul-based, heart-based. Yeah, you get me? Because there's some natural mystery involved. I mean, we work with mystery. All righty? Okay. Now, something else to take into consideration. This may also, because it's partnering and working and expressing through Scorpio, and I'm going to say this propensity. So we tend to continue to express, at least to a degree, somewhere in us, we're driven to express unconsciously and from dysfunction, right? Humanity. Though one of the propensity-driven expressions of Venus working through Scorpio is jealousy. Okay? Envy, but envy that's about jealousy. The other one is vengeance. The desire to even the score. Many a person's idea of justice is vengeance based, whether they know that or not. And it gets more and more subtle in folks like us, but it's rarely not there. Okay, so just know that jealousy and the urge for payback or vengeance will be stirred up. Okay, and I say this so that you can help yourself not get caught up in it. Let it take you to new experiences and expressions of passion, magnetism, yum yum, okay, mystery, intrigue, but hold on to, and maybe even work on heightening the ways in which you engage, the ways in which you approach, the ways in which that there's still respect, that there's still honor. Okay? Yours and theirs. Because when we are envious, when we are jealous, when we are, payback time, there's often an absence of respect. Contempt starts to show up. And sometimes it can be really subtle, especially if we get poked. So keep that in mind because Scorpio is powerful. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Next slide, please. November 7th till February 3rd, 2026. Okay. Our benevolent rebel, otherwise known as Uranus, goes retrograde in Taurus. He's been retrograde in Gemini since early September. And now he's moved all the way back to the boundaries of Taurus. He's almost there. Shifts in Taurus on the 7th of November, and he's going to stay there for the very final lap of Taurian retrograde of our lifetimes. So I want to encourage you to lean in. Now remember that we've got some really cool energy still hanging around from that full supermoon in Taurus. Yeah? When this comes along, that's still vibing and partnering. Okay? And the thing that's really intriguing about this is, with the help of that supermoon and some of the things we talked about there, what this wants to help us do is focus the rebellious, quote unquote, benevolent rebellion, because sometimes this, through propensity, gets expressed as simple rebellion and not with benevolent intent. This kind of wants to give us an extra dose of, yes, benevolent rebellion, okay? And it wants us to focus that rebellious energy towards our money routines, financial routines, and personal values. So a couple things to keep in mind for yourself and perhaps for the people you work with or for is the Uranian energy is a little bit trickster-ish, a little bit. What it tends to do is kind of come around the side of things because it's attempting to support us around the barriers and blinkers that we've erected to protect ourselves. It's like, yeah, I really need to help you because I'm your proxy and you've assigned me the responsibility of helping you shake things up when you'd rather hold firm, even though you might not be consciously aware of that. So I'm going to sneak around the side. That means there could be some shakeups. Okay? And the place I want to hold for all of us is around the possibility that the shakeup could be related to self-worth or the way that we have the frameworks internally we've been assigned or we have digested or been conditioned to take on about how we are valued, what our worth is, and where that comes from and who says. Now, it may also shake up and stir up or trigger some old stuff you really want to pay attention to, okay? But not just for you, but for the people you work with or for, okay? And this is really about liberation. Remember that benevolent rebellion is about liberation, not throwing the baby out with the bathwater, keeping the things that are relevant and necessary and historically foundational, whether that's your historic foundation or our historic foundation, because this is Uranus, social planet, big effects on everybody. So keep that in mind. Okay, there may be also some financial shakeups because there's a change in world order, and some of that is due to our benevolent rebel working where has been working and will be working. Keep that in mind too. Watch if you start to clench. There's a very big difference between making more of what you have so that it continues to grow or be stable, okay? But clenching, not so much. Okay, next slide, please. November the 9th till the 18th, our communication savant, Mercury, goes retrograde in Sagittarius. Hello. So I don't know this for sure, but based on just the things, this looks like the bumpiest retrograde of the year, Mercury-wise. Do the usual things to take care of yourself relative to digital data, like your data, your online, like just back up, have redundancies, check the backups are solid, like do all the things you normally would do, okay? All right? It could also be wildly travel difficult. Now, I know with the current government shutdown in the United States and with digital weirdness around the world, travel, that could add complications. Now, someone recently mentioned that there's been rumbles of the possibility that the government shutdown might not extend till the 9th of November. We shall see. And I would still have backups for your travel plans. Use paper, not just digital tickets, boarding passes, all the things. Have both. It might irritate you, but just have both, okay? The other thing I want to this comes with a kind of code red blurt alert, because these energies, Mercury retrograde, inside set, because Sagittarius is just tell the damn truth. And while Mercury's in retrograde, particularly on the 9th and the 18th, the beginning and the end of this particular piece of the retrograde, you might find yourself just blurting things and using truth as a bit of a bludgeon. Propensity. Okay. Honesty can have a very, very, very sharp edge. And it can damage relationships where there has been resentment, where there has been tolerations, perhaps even unconscious tolerations, where you just like, you had it, or you're the people you serve, they just had it. Because truth will be weaponized if it comes from propensity and trauma, okay? Now, the thing for us to pay close attention to is, and by us, I mean those who intend to serve, is the edge for us to watch is that we're just trying to be helpful, okay? Just take care. Humor is not going to be well received because it will be edgier and unconsciously woven with the things that we were just talking about. Especially if that humor is a bit off color. And all that stuff could just fall flat, with an individual, with a group, with an audience. So take care. Okay. Again, part of this is to show you where you may be, or where your people may be carrying unconscious resentment or tolerations that they need to be more honest about. But the work is to bring it into consciousness and do whatever healing work is necessary so that you can be honest without using honesty as a sword or a weapon. Okay. Yeah. Now, on the plus side, this could also be an extraordinary time to help people get to the truth of their work and express it in an adventuring kind of way that has tremendous impact on their experience and expression of their work. Okay. And that's worth knowing. I'm winking at you out there if that's your work and I know about it. Next slide, please. November the 11th till March the 10th, 2026. Okay. Our fortune finder, otherwise known as Jupiter, goes retrograde in Cancer. 4-month window. Oh my goodness. Jupiter expressing itself through Cancer is one of the most lovely expressions and influences of 2025. Okay. And a little bit into 2026. And going retrograde, boy, oh boy, does it want to work for us. Okay. Inward reflection is deeply called for. And given that Cancer is come on home, come on home, the reflective pull or call is going to be significantly deep. In a way that wants to support you in being more deeply nurturing of yourself in a couple of ways. Okay. Yourself, ourselves, you get me. So, it wants us to ask how sturdy our emotional foundations are and how nurturing are they on the whole. It also will have us, maybe not consciously, although for some it could be, asking ourselves or feeling around inside things as we become reflective. Have I been chasing success at the expense of more purposeful, personal fulfillment? Is my definition of success not really mine? It isn't my home. It's what I've been taught to aim for. And you may think, so I'm just going to say this, you may think you've done that work, you're finished, you've exercised all that. You might not. So don't be surprised if it rolls up for you with another layer that you just have not accessed yet. Okay? Because this is a layered process. It's iterative. What this wants to help you do is help you, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, Isabel, true up your outer ambitions with your longing for an experience of home for you, for us, that brings more peace, personal peace, the peace of knowing that you are in the right place, in the right work, in the right expressions, you're at home. Okay? And the experience of outer peace more in the world, whatever that might mean for you and your work, or for your client or your audience's work. Now, keep this in mind. Even though we talked, the first couple of influences want to give some significant boost to entrepreneurship of particular flavors, this means that opportunities for growth may not come as fast as you might prefer. Okay? But that's okay. This kind of reflection period wants to encourage us to redefine, okay, success and what abundance means on a more holistic level, not a societal level, not a cultural level, and all the ways that has sway over our senses around this, but ours, our holistic understanding. Okay? We'll also find ourselves, not all of us, but many of us, kind of feeling an urge to check in with our loved ones, to see how they're doing, if they're feeling safe, if they're feeling supported, if there are gaps, if there's anything we can do to help narrow those gaps without caretaking, codependence, you know what I mean? Like some home stuff, how dysfunctional things were and may still be, you know what I mean? Caretaking, collaborating with an increasingly self-possessed and sovereign person so that they're in a better position with collaboration to feel safe, to feel supported, and like deeply, okay? Especially during these times of ours, okay? Next slide, please. November the 18th till the 29th, our communications savant Mercury continues his retrograde, but now he goes into Scorpio. So there's a little bit of relief because the vibe from the first couple of weeks is lifted some, okay? And because when expressing in fire, okay, truth, whack, that is going to start to lift. So things are going to feel less fiery, less intense. Well, less of a certain kinds of intensity. But when we get into Scorpio, a different kind of intensity starts to show up. And the best way I have of really expressing this is our communication, and I would pay really close to it because this can be very, very subtle, starts to feel a little bit like a cat and mouse game. Okay? Just a tiny little bit manipulative. All right? And I mean manipulative, plan. And everyone's going to want to be the cat and not the mouse. So it can be kind of reflexive and coming from propensity. You want to pay close attention because this wants to help us see where we get triggered, even very, very subtly into that. All right? This wants to help us deepen our capacity for trust and to be trust embodied and expressed. We live in suspicious times, okay? And this could go, if you lean into this and work with it, maybe hold off expression, because communication style in retrograde is like, now's not really the best time. But to work with it so that when you communicate after the retrograde is passed, you more deeply embody and have the capacity to kind of broadcast trustworthiness. I'm going to say in particular, like if you are feeling compelled to do any kind of a webinar or a taste test, or during this retrograde, whether it's in Sag or whether it's in Scorpio, be very mindful of the energies that are going to be floating around in the larger circle, like in your audience. So in the first half, people could just be really fiery with truth that's damaging, whether they understand that's at play or not. And then during this, it's suspicion. People will be much more easily triggered into being suspicious and into not giving you as a genuine facilitator of good work. They might not extend you the benefit of the doubt because there's projection going on. So just keep that in mind. Do check your own stars, because they may give 2 thumbs up to this, but I be careful. Okay. Okay. Next slide, please. Oh, new moon in Scorpio on the 20th. Again, if you're on the other side of the date line, it's the following day. This chef's kiss, okay? Chef's kiss, because it has the potential to be genuine, alchemically transformative, led into gold, metaphorically. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. All right? So, if there's a place in your life that has felt like lead, this moon wants to help you transformatively. Now, the real change at the heart of that takes work. It doesn't just happen overnight, but lean in, my friends. Oh my goodness. Ritual is your friend, but so is the actual inner work of healing. This one in particular wants to help restore our connection, or a deeper connection to our power, and I'm going to say agency. All right. Now, it's Scorpio, so shadow work. Okay. Don't try to force the positive vibes. Don't try to stay just in positivity. There will be a kickback. All right. Normally I say full moons are more emotionally intense. I'm going to say this one's going to be emotionally intense, because it wants to help us feel the full range of our feelings, so that we are partnered enough with the clarity they bring, so we can make the right kind of change, so the right kinds of transformative lean in can occur. Thing I want you to know is that this could stir fear, because this can mean a major, major leap forward, whatever that means to you, relative to lead into gold, and massive, like a quantum leap kind of thing. And fear of the unknown could crop into things. It's scary to let go of what you know and take that kind, like it can be really exciting. Yeah, I want a quantum leap, and then and we can pull ourselves back into the old cycle without really recognizing it. Okay. Keep that in mind. Because the focus really is a restoration to agency. If you start to feel nervous, scared, anxious, numb, or frozen, it's likely that at work, I don't have agency here. I can't take a quantum leap because I will take my lack of agency with me. I will go into the unknown without power. And New Moon in Scorpio goes, are you sure about that? This could be a big one. Big. Right? Next slide, please. November the 21st till December the 21st. Okay, our force of nature, the sun, in happy Sagittarius. Happy birthday, Sagittarians. Okay, inclusivity, always the name of the game with Sagittarius when coming from elevation. Sagittarius knows the more diverse the pool of wisdom and point of view and talent, genius, contribution, the richer we all are. That's the truth. Okay? Inclusivity that recognizes difference. So this is not, I don't see color, because Sagittarius goes, that's bullshit. That's not possible. Nifty saying, but doesn't work in application. So it's inclusivity that sees and recognizes difference and elevates that difference so that all of the difference can be contributive. So it can be celebrated. So it can be deeply welcomed. Again, the spirit of transparency very alive in here. We want to see the truth of things. Now, transparency, remember we talked about values and staying true to our values or discovering what they are. So this is not transparency absent agency. This is transparency to the degree that we know how much is appropriate to share, to show, to invite folks in. Okay? Okay. The call to play ambassador for people who haven't learned how to, or are still a little rough around the edges with this, the call to play ambassador is high, but rooted in values, rooted in truth, not truth as a bludgeon, but truth that's respectful. Okay. And we talked about the spirit of transparency again, but coming at it from a slightly different angle. The only thing I want to say about this is don't be surprised if you feel pulled to be more out in nature and move it around, moving your body, having the fire of your own deeper nature wanting to express itself through the body, okay? Warmly. And by warmly, I mean it warms up your body. Okay? Hot yoga is going to get a bit of a push. Next slide, please. November 27th. Our inner guru, Saturn, has been retrograde. That retrograde ends on this day. Now, you may have heard me say this before. I have said it more than once, but it might not have landed with you or been memorable. But here's what I want to say about this. The first day of a retrograde, the last day of a retrograde, any retrograde, and if a retrograde moves from one sign to another, the last day in a sign and the first day in the next sign as it moved backwards, those are the most powerful retrograde days. This is a powerful retrograde day. Okay? And that's worth paying attention to. In this particular case, because it could be very intense, it's Saturn. He's kind of an intense guy. Again, last of our lifetimes, because he's been back in Pisces for a while. Now we've got another month and a bit. I would pay close attention to that because he's in the last degrees of Pisces right now in retrograde. So he's kind of giving us the opportunity, especially folks like you and I, to kind of go, okay, so how do we create structure? How do we create materially in ways that are reflective and expressive of deeper spiritual truths, Pisces, in ways that connect us rather than divide us, while being rooted, more easily rooted, and this is an add-on because it's Saturn, while being rooted in what's real or what we're attempting to make real. Because when we're in Pisces, lots and lots of Pisces, because this is big energy, we can kind of get floaty, and that's not helpful. While he will continue to be for the next month and a bit, moving through the last degrees. So we're trying to bring not just the last degrees of Pisces, but the last degrees of the whole cycle, because Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. We've gone through a whole cycle. It's almost done. The last of our lifetimes. Yeah. Before he goes back into Aries, he's like, okay, so what's unfinished from the whole cycle? What have we misunderstood about making things material, creating structure that supports spiritual life, spiritual principle made real? And we might have had some difficult bumps or quote unquote lessons, necessary but difficult to experience. This is a bit of a reckoning period, and it could be extremely useful. Okay, there's been lots of soul searching, lots of possibility of personal growth along with those lessons. And I would pay attention to what you've learned about the oopses, the trickiness about being both passive and aggressive, not assertive, but aggressive. Because while he's been moving back through Aries, we've had a chance to look at the propensity orientation of taking action to build what we want. Yeah. And I'm not just talking about you and I personally, although it certainly is touching us. I'm talking about the whole. This is also, if you are an expert, and I mean that genuinely, you've spent 10, 15, 20 more years deeply devoted to and deeply studious in your field, you may be called to put yourself forward. And seriously, you could get a bit of a push. If not during the last days, not long after. If you've been feeling that push and you've been resisting it, please, please, please let yourself dive into the resistance. Discover what it wants to show you so you can step forward. Okay? If you are already stepped forward or you've felt that push and you've moved forward, consider contributing to someone else's growth by sharing either the spotlight, so what they're building gets some airtime, or share your experience in terms of, the vagaries of the building process. Okay? I'm paying close attention to this one. Very close attention. If you give someone else spotlight in terms of what they're building, have that be complementary to your own body of work and its spirit. Okay? And be rooted in truth, because there's a lot of Sagittarian, transparency. The spirit of your approach to sharing could be really important. Okay? Next slide, please. November 29th. Mercury retrograde ends. Okay, yum. Thank God. If it has been a weird one, and I, honest to God, you know, I don't want to make anybody anxious. That's not the objective here, but just please do take care well in advance. Get yourself set up to walk through this, navigate it well. And the intensity is likely going to start to abate starting this day. So clearing up, you know, tangled wires of communication starts. And it may just resolve itself. You might have to lean in. You might take stock of where there have been tangled wires of communication or confusion, and you've held off attempting to address it until the retrograde ends. That's, unless your stars say differently, that's probably a wise move. Okay. Don't drop all self-protection. Okay. Just don't. Digitally, just don't. We are entering an age when digital protections are going to become increasingly necessary. And we're going to have to learn some stuff in a kind of sophisticated fashion. Many of us might find ourselves feeling intimidated by. We'll be talking about that during Live for 2026. And I'll talk about more about that in a minute, but just don't drop everything, okay? Pay close attention to what's going on in your field, to what's going on online, what's going on with your device. Like, just pay attention and don't drop everything, okay? Okay. Next slide, please. So, folks, it is 52 minutes past the top of the hour. We're likely going to go a little bit over. Just want you to know. If you have an appointment you got to get to at the top of the hour, take stock of the time. I'm probably not going to say this as I go across the hour mark, but just watch the clock for yourself, okay? November the 30th till December the 24th. Our Charisma of Cause shifts into Sagittarius. Love, truth. Love of truth. Okay. Candidness reigns supreme. And the ambition to experience love. Some of it romantic love, but love of neighbor, love of home, love of, you get me? Very, very high. Very, very high. Another thing that will be really interesting too is that this is going to make us more rejection proof like. So anybody who is a member of the current and took the Chiron course that opened a month and a half ago, you know what I'm talking about, rejection. Whoa! If you haven't finished the course, or you were thinking about kind of reviewing some of what you learned, this is an excellent, excellent time, because it will make it more possible for us to look at the things that have been so deeply painful, you know, core wounding, and to engage it with insightfulness, to touch the pain but not be overrun by it. It's so advantageous, it's kind of nuts. Okay? And that's worth holding on to. Whether you're in the current and you took the course, you're going to review the course, or you've been thinking about joining the current, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, because the course is there, this period. Now, for those of you in the United States, I believe there's a special holiday in here where families tend together, and many of us kind of go, oh God, because sometimes there's things said around the table or in the sitting room. This will make it easier for you to experience that without feeling deeply activated in the way you may have in years past. It may also make it more possible for you to speak the truth with more love. And I'm not talking about the kind of mental, oh, I'm going to be loving, but from the deep experience and expression of love. Okay? Inside this, there's also a deep call. It's time to go experience and express cross cultures. Again, diversity and, you know, recognizing that other cultures, even those within our own nations, have something to deeply contribute. And that's deserving of attention and exploration and education of ourselves, self-education, respect, okay? Watch for a deeply indoctrinated orientation you don't even recognize towards appropriation, especially for us spiritual folks, because it could be in here. You want to occupy the question, what do you have to contribute? What have you been contributing that I haven't really recognized, noticed, or been able to engage with deep respect and understanding that my surface level introduction and resonance with this is not nowhere near as deep as your living of it. What else do I need to know? And to remember that self-education is a thing here. Sagittarius says, what's the truth? And I'm going to go adventure to find it rather than asking someone to be your teacher when their labor's already high. It is a big deal. Okay? Okay. Next slide, please. Look at all those opportunities. We're going to go through these quickly. All right. Remember, there's a replay and there will be notes. November 3rd. Next slide. Trust your gut and watch for hints. Kind of a day. Okay. November 17th. Can you say divine feminine rising and alchemizing? Remember we talked about alchemy? Lead to gold? P.S. Her, quote unquote, passion will be palpable today. The only other thing I want to say about this is investigate what, quote unquote, her means, because it is not gender oriented. It might be more gender expressed, but it is not gender based. Folks like you and I, we are being called to be more attuned to that and explorative of it. Next slide, please. Oh no, you're there. 17th, go back. Sorry. Calm, comforting approaches win the day with this one. If you feel pushed, if the approach taken to you is not comforting in any way, opt for passive resistance rather than confrontation. Okay? And I mean that. Highlight, underscore, asterisk, calendar. November the 19th. Next slide, please. Big, big, big nudge to tap your subconscious today, because intuition is likely to be super sharp. Alrighty. November 20th, deep introspection day. So one day you're like a sponge and open to all, and the next day is like inside. Come on back inside. Deep introspection. Not a good day. Unless your stars say something else. Not a good day for taste tests or webinars or anything like that. Like, just no. November 21st. Intuition. Take the wheel. heightened empathy and creativity. Okay. Next. Nope. Yeah, next slide. Yep. Big ideas, particularly when it comes to communication. Now notice that these, I'm just going to say this, these tune to communication particularly. That might be useful to keep in mind. November the 26th, warm and fuzzies kind of a day. What I mean by that is give all things genuinely heartfelt sway as they direct your attention or your energy or your action. Just, okay? Very useful. Next slide, please. Look at all those neutral days. Now, these might be experienced less pleasantly, but inside them is a deep invitation to lean in and work with them, cause opportunity. Okay, next slide, please. November 2nd. So, tug of war between the head and the heart. The head will be going, keep things smooth, keep things steady. The heart will be going, oh, but I feel, and I want to go all the way in. So there could be a tug between the two. Okay? What you want to do if you're going to lean in is check if you are responding to that tug from propensity so that you can help yourself practice into some elevation. November the 4th, ambition meet get out of my way and go for it now. Okay, propensity. How do you go about that if you're practicing your way into more elevation? And check that those ambitions really are yours before following their lead with get the hell out of my way. Because they might not be. And that's part of why this is dysfunctional male energy. Anybody? Okay. November the 7th. And I don't mean gender. I don't mean gender. November the 7th, power struggles potentially ahead. Now, there will be emotional currents, undercurrents, prompting power overdrive. So that's going to be really stirred up. It might also be so subterraneanly stirred up that it is not conscious or recognizable until you go into power overdrive. And then it's like, oh, well, shit, I didn't mean to do that. So this is prime self-possession practice time. November 12th, compelled to be passionately outspoken with undertones. These could be subtle and not entirely conscious, if conscious at all. Undertones of competitive contentiousness. Again, a stellar self-possession practice day. November the 19th, one-upping and score-settling zingers. Okay? So you could just find yourself saying something that's, remember we talked earlier about vengeance? This is an echo. Doesn't last very long, but it's there. And the thing that's worth paying very, very close attention to is if you hear words come out of your mouth that clearly intended to hurt somebody, even a score. Okay? Or one up by making someone else feel down or less than. Because if it pops out of your mouth, that's because that piece inside you is not conscious, but it shows you it's there so you can see where the urge to punish lives. Powerful self-possession practice day. It's also a really good day to practice self-forgiveness. And I pay close attention to this for the people you work for, your clients, your classes, etc. November 21st, thin skin kind of day. Everybody's going to feel a little more like, well, not everybody, but a lot of people, although it may not be conscious, like they're a walking nerve ending. And anything anybody says could feel like a deep cutting slight. Okay? November 22nd, no nonsense. The divine is in the details. Slow your roll kind of day. Okay? Okay. November 24th. If you've been agonizing over the right time to express feelings, today is a big fat green light, provided you're working with truth, Sagittarius energy, not as a weapon, but as a connector. that can call upon great artfulness and deep practice. Just saying. November 26th, reality meets seductive fantasy. Okay, deep self-possession practice day. Now, I'm not going to, knock fantasy completely. Fantasy can inform vision as long as we remain rooted in the realities of human life, so that we recognize we are supposed to bring it down, and we can't do that if we're just, up there. November 29th, assume nothing, expect anything. And I say that of our work, our ambitions, what we're building, okay? And it's a day when volcanic and unpredictable emotional spurts will be more than possible. So keep that in mind. And then the last one, November the 30th, seductive follow me, I'm shiny vibes today. So stellar for self-possession practice. So you don't get pulled away by someone else's bright and shiny. And this is when marketing of all stripes can lean into some of that magnetism and attractiveness that we talked about earlier. From propensity, because they know it attracts and pulls people, whether it's for those people's benefit or their bottom line's benefit. And that's another piece of the self-protection practice. Okay. Hotspot days. Look, zilch, nada, nothing. Okay. Now, Mercury retrograde. So I'm not going to say that that's a hot spot, but again, this could be a pretty wild retrograde for all kinds of reasons. So there could still be a little bit of, keep that in mind. But individual days, not so much. Alrighty? Okay, next slide, please. Fave Fields. Ready? There we go. Now, I'm not going to go through all of these. Many that we've talked about, and it is worth taking a screenshot and tagging, like putting within your line of sight for the month, if one or more of these speak directly to your work's wheelhouse. Okay? And again, you might want to check the Fave Fields PDF for 2025, because there will be some stuff there that's still working in your favor, likely, and you probably want to refresh your memory. Next slide, please. Live for December. Okay. Wednesday, November 26th. Okay. Wednesday, November 26th at our usual time. Okay. And then live for 2026. Yep. We're getting up on the Thursday, December the 18th, 1 p.m. Eastern. Now, I'm going to encourage you to, because these times we're in, man, encourage you to share that date with your friends. There's some stuff people need to know. And I'm really not kidding. But I want to make sure you have these two dates in your calendar. All right. Next slide, please. I want to let you know that one of our own, Lynn Allen, has launched a podcast. Okay? The Peaceful Achiever, where peace and achievement intersect. How do you like that? She recently launched this podcast. I'm thrilled for her. And I was one of the first folks she talked to. And you might find that conversation really worthwhile. And you might just want to go give Ellen a pat on the back virtually. She's worked long and hard, as most of us do, on arriving here. And, you know, just offer her your hearty congratulations and support would mean the world to me. Please do. She's one of our own, and it matters. And the conversation we had was beautiful, and I hope you enjoy it. Let me know what your thoughts and questions are. Come on back to Soul Map Live, our community space. It's private. Let me know. Love to hear you. Okay. And Lynn, congratulations again. Next slide, please. Oh, yeah, right. Motion map season. It's in full swing, and there's just 11 sessions left. All right. I thought there was less than 10, but there's 11 left. If you know one of those 11 has your name on it, it might be wise to go and get that for yourself now. All righty. It's $300 down from $495. This is an annual thing. I realized today we've been doing this for over a decade. Okay. And that's kind of noteworthy. If you go to get your motion map for 2026, and I cannot encourage you enough to do that, because wowza, make sure you take the code capital M 2026 with you, so the rebate savings of $195 is applied. Okay. If you don't remember to take that rebate code and plug it in, there won't be a rebate and we won't reverse it. Okay. So just no exceptions. Please take care. All righty. The offer is good until 5 p.m. Pacific time on Friday, December the 19th of 2025, or when the last slot is spoken for, whichever comes first. And I just want to say, we've never gotten to the end date of this offer ever. And I suspect that will be the same this year too. Okay. All right. Open for questions, open for shares. If you're listening to this in replay, please come on over to our private Facebook group, Soul Map Live, and drop in your share or your question there, because I go in and out regularly. But if you're here and you listen to it real time, I would love to hear from you now. If you popped a question into the chat, please toggle your microphone on and tell me what your question was, because I've been so focused on making sure I covered everything, didn't miss anything on you, that I haven't been watching the chat. Okay, I'm ready for you. Anybody got a question or a share? Hello.
In case there are lots of other people that jump in later, I want to echo this is Marilyn, I want to echo your acknowledgement of Lynn's podcast. I've actually listened to them all. I did a binge listen.
Yeah.
And I really, she arranged it in an unusual way in terms of interviews and then her own podcasts.
Yeah.
And very different speakers too. So yes, very cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
She's done a beautiful job. So
Yep.
thank you for adding that, Marilyn. I really appreciate it for her and for the work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Irene, I see in the chat, you've asked, can you tell me more about the motion map? Although I'm reading the sales page now. Do you want to read the rest of the page and then let me know if there's more you want to know, Irene? Okay. Just technically, it is the comparison of your birth chart, or what I call the soul map, and what's moving for you in the coming year. And the comparison of the two, or the interaction of the two, will talk about what's going to be moving through your life in terms of opportunity, in terms of growth orientation, what the challenges are likely to be, and why you be walking yourself through those challenges, what's wise to know about that so you can help yourself walk through them. etc., etc. Okay. If there's anything else you want to know, Irene, just pop it again in the chat. Anybody else have a question or a share?
I have two questions, Lisa. It's Maggie.
Hi.
I just was stuck to hi. Thank you for all this. And I took a lot of notes, even though I'll look at yours too a lot. What was the code again?
Capital M.
For
capital
M,
like mother.
Okay.
If you look at the slide right now, in the middle it says make sure to use the code MM 2026.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, right. Motion map 2026. Okay.
Yeah, essentially.
Right. And then the other question I had kind of earlier in your whole Format Live, when you said November 7th to 26th, focus on benevolent rebellion, extra dose of a benevolent rebellion. This is my notes toward our money, routines and values. So I needed an example because I don't know why the word benevolent, rebel, and money and values, couldn't make that connection, what that meant.
Gotcha. So this can have two flavors, and often for many people it will, personal and the larger societal ramifications. So there may be people wanting to rebel against our economic systems.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Because they aren't a reflection of their values.
Right.
Or the values that are being expressed more overtly in our economic systems. And I don't just mean in the US or in North America, I mean all over the place. Are shifting to values we find offensive or disagreeable or unexemplary. I mean, there's people who feel that this is the way we should go. And the reflection on what that means for me. What does that mean for me? Deeply, truly. Because when our benevolent rebel is at work, there's a trickster energy. There's like, bet you didn't see this. Woof. It comes, kind of out of left field because it wants to bypass our self-protection mechanisms that can cause us to have blind spots.
Right.
Okay. So that's kind of the energy. And for those of us to see where we have, without realizing it, be involved in financial structure, financial thinking, or whatever the case might be, that is actually a departure from our own values. And we've just never seen it before.
Right. Okay. I get it now.
Does that make sense?
I was thinking so first I was thinking it just like personally how, there's a lot of stuff about just our own relationship to money.
Yeah.
But I wasn't seeing it as this big picture, and I totally get it about structures. And also, maybe we're thinking about where our money goes that doesn't support our values or stuff like that.
Yep. I had a client work with this energy. They are launching a financial investment collaborative that focuses on doing work in the world that is a reflection of the values of progression. And I'm just going to say it, both Aquarian values and Sagittarian. What's the real truth? How can we create from a sense of adventure rather than and how can we take diversity of need and amplify investment there to help restore and amplify the strengths of that culture, that community? There's some really interesting things. Like that kind of stuff's been around a while, but I'm betting we're going to see more of it because of this. Okay. So that might be able to also keep in mind, there's going to be emergences of new money structure and framework possibilities that that invest according to values. Okay.
I love that.
Yeah, me too. So keep your eye out for innovations,
Yeah.
because they're worth paying attention to.
Okay.
Mm.
And your client, does she want hers elevated, like as an example or as interest?
They are
You
here.
ready for that?
They are here,
Oh,
and if they do, they'll probably pop something into the chat. It may be premature.
okay.
It may be premature.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I really love that. I'm glad I asked the question.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Meg.
So, yeah, thank you for answering it. And
You're
thank you
welcome.
for today.
Yeah. No, I appreciate your question. It's a good one.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi.
Hi, it's Peggy.
I know.
Oh, all right. I knew you knew. Um, j- really appreciate the level of detail, and I love the way you it's like having a professional broadcaster. It's so great. I wanted to my I have been experiencing tremendous resistance when you said if you've been an expert, 10 years plus studious in your field and you're called to put yourself forward, and this was on November 27th,
Yeah. Yeah.
I am in full resistance right now. And the guidance I think I heard you say, and I just wanted to clarify, is to dive into your resistance, to
Yep.
discover what, and then I missed it. What am I discovering? How do I?
Why the resistance is present? What makes up that resistance? And that will likely not be entirely conscious. In
Yep.
fact, probably not. But it's there for a reason. So the whole what you resist persists. Well, okay, but that's a little bit dismissive. What I have come to see is true.
Yep.
Across the board, universally, about resistance is that purposeful people are often approaching things and functioning within systems that don't see them the way they are. Invisibility sound familiar?
Yep.
Or it demands that they adjust their approach or their personality or all kinds of things so that they fit the expectations or demands of the system. Okay. And so resistance under those circumstances is appropriate. But it's happening in a kind of unconscious knee-jerk way.
Yep.
We want to partner with that.
Okay.
Okay. Is that helpful?
Yeah, I've actually been very surprised at this.
Yeah.
And I think I suspect it has to do with agency, sovereignty, and I haven't been able to grapple with it. I am just vocally keep expressing, I'm struggling with this, I'm uncomfortable, this is weird, and I haven't been able to articulate it. So I've kind of gotten a little bit quieter in the last day and just going in to go, okay, what is going on
What
here?
is going on? Yep.
Because I'm truly afraid, and I don't remember this experience from or it's like, blah.
Afraid of the current circumstance, situation, or is there fear and you can't put your finger on where it's coming from?
Fear, can't put my finger on where it's coming from.
Okay. That makes sense. Being with it and being quieter.
Yeah.
Wise. Until you can at
Okay.
least begin. Wise.
Okay.
So I'm just going to say this out loud. The coaching field might get very pissed off at me.
Who will?
The coaching field at large.
Oh.
Coaching at its core, not across the board, but enough. It focuses on, and its reason for originally becoming a field was to help people take action and move, achieve.
Yep.
Okay. Action for action's sake is not useful. Being able to check something off your to-do list as an achievement just because you can, not useful. Especially when we've been so deeply conditioned, indoctrinated, and traumatized into acting, manipulated, poked, prod, all the things. Okay. And sometimes our resistance is because we can sense something in the field, we can sense something in the circumstance, but we don't know what it is, and it's worth being concerned about. But in general, the society, culture in general, and particularly in coaching, not all of it, but a lot of it, is you're supposed to be able to act on demand. You're supposed to know what the hell's going on. And if you can't, then something's wrong with you. What I find with purposeful people is we're resistant for damn good reason a lot more often than we're given credit for.
Okay.
And we're rarely supported in teasing out the various threads, intelligent, wise, often threads that make that up. Now, I'm not going to say that there may not be trauma, a trigger
Yes.
in there too,
Yep.
but that's the tease apart the threads part.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you're triggered doesn't mean there isn't wisdom in there.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that I've noticed with folks like us, so when you said I've gotten quiet recently, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
you could be sensing timing. Now's
Yep.
not the time. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's a whole lot. So Pluto is doing some big damn stuff right now. And we are in Scorpio season. So one of the big things going on under the surface for everybody is, how do you occupy power?
Yep.
How do you, it's really about power.
Mm-hmm.
But it is stirring a lot of us up into penetrating looks at where we've confused power with domination.
Yep.
And to some degree, domination of self, because
Yep.
Okay. Sometimes, and you said, I'm so afraid. If you are working with Saturn and Pluto, and remember, so I know you're a current member,
Mm-hmm.
maybe you heard one of the, Pluto's out of bounds right now, which means all the normal guardrails for
Yep.
its regular characteristic expression are off. So it's going to extremes in some places. And that's stirring up some important stuff for persons and cultures.
Mm.
But if you don't know that,
Yes.
and so sometimes the fear is, oh shit, we're out of bounds with power. God, how do I? And there can be memories, and there can be, you know what I mean? So quieter on the outside, louder on the inside. Focus on the conversations that are happening in you, and to whatever degree you can bring them into conscious awareness.
Okay.
Okay. We can certainly talk about it the next time you and I. Okay. And with whomever you have trusted conversations, safe conversations with, you might find that useful too, because the talking can bring into consciousness more often. Not for all of us, but for those of us who are neurospicy, we're auditory processors, that might be helpful. Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, first time in I don't know how many years I actually turned down someone who wanted me to coach them, and I've never done that. It was like, oh wow, something was going on here.
Yeah. So you're trusting something you can't necessarily put your finger on. So that would suggest to me that there's stuff going on you can't put your finger on, but it's talking and you're listening.
Yep.
On some level, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And purposefully.
Okay.
The thing that's opportune about this for me, and good news, is you're afraid.
I do.
Don't know why.
Yep.
That's worth listening to.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. For those of you who just heard me talk about the podcast and Pluto to Blends, those are all parts of the deeper conversations we have in the current. If you've thought about joining the current, please consider it. Erica, you want to pop that link? Thank you. She's already done it. How brilliant is this woman? Please consider it, because the times we're in and the times ahead really, really, really do warrant having deeper conversations that we just don't have time for here. Consider it, please, please, please do yourself a solid and give it a good look and think about it. Okay. Thank you so much, Peggy. Was there anything else you wanted to share?
No, thank you. That
You're
was,
more
yeah.
than welcome. Yep.
I just want to
Anybody
thank
else?
you, Peggy. I
Yeah.
want to thank Peggy and you, Lisa, because that whole conversation was hugely helpful
Good.
Oh, good.
to me. So thank you.
Good. Yeah. Big, 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 big questions. Subterranean interactions with power. What it is, what it means, what it has meant, what it actually means. Our ongoing efforts to become more healthily powerful. And the other thing about the Scorpio season, so I'm just going to say this for all of us. Again, I'd only say this in the current, but we're here already, so we're going to say it. You noticed that in a couple of places, we are approaching the end of a zodiacal cycle. A year, 100+ years, in some cases 200, like, and there's a massive cycle that's also coming to an end. I am working on expressing that. It'll go in the current, but here's the thing to know. This Scorpio season is the first we've experienced while Pluto is where Pluto is, working with what Pluto's working with, while the other big social planets are doing what they're doing, okay? There is a coming from the depths of human experience, this feeling and deep concern that we're at the end of times. And to a degree we are. These big, huge cycles mean the end of things we've lived as a species for a long time. And we are deeply in the work of looking directly at our relationship to power. What it is, what it isn't. Some of this is because with Scorpio energy and because Pluto is one of the overseers of Scorpio. Mars is the other one. Pluto is the ancient overseer. Mars is the modern overseer. And so the reason I say that is because Mars energy from propensity is domination. Pluto is like, we got to shake this off, folks. Something has to die because we can't carry it forward. And when you put the two together, it asks us to look directly at how we fight each other, how we fight ourselves, how we attempt to dominate our way into the next version, the next expression of the human story. And all that creates and builds or tears down. Pluto at the very beginning of a Pluto cycle, and we're still very much at the beginning of a Pluto cycle in Aquarius, means that at the very front end, we come face to face with where we feel powerless. And all the things inside us that tell us that's never going to change, we can't change it. Externally and internally, in our personal lives, in our social and cultural lives, as a species and as a person. Okay? And that's amplified this month, along with this feeling that we're at the end of times. Now, one extra piece that I'm not seeing talked about a lot, Scorpio is the season of connection and communication with our ancestors. And I'm not just talking about, your pop or your Mima who passed, 10 years ago. I'm talking about way back. I'm talking about the living memory of our ancestors and because they're around us more during the season than any other. And they're working real hard to talk to us, to offer support and love and understanding and guidance, because they can see things they couldn't when they were here. They can also see things that humanity used to be able to see and can't now. Okay? So please keep all that in mind. Please keep all that in mind. It matters. It especially matters as we then start to shift into Sagittarius season. Truth. Not as a weapon. Not as a weapon.
Lisa, is that why you did say something like this was around the November 20th
Yep.
new moon?
Yeah.
The focus restoration agency is what I heard. I don't have agency to go into the unknown without power. I think that's a lot of what's going.
Yep. That's
and
well
then,
said.
And then, well, it's what I'm saying, what you said. And then,
Am I? Okay.
yeah. And you said the new moon would go, are you sure of that? And I went, oh, fuck.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Okay.
That's exactly right. It's check yourself before you wreck yourself. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, I'm being a little flippant, but that's what it is. Among all the other things you talked about, that's what it is. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. And if things do get wrecked, that's part of the Pluto plan.
Okay.
There's some things that need to be excised, that need to fall away, that need to die. And we remember the connection to ancestry. Just because it dies doesn't mean it's gone. That you don't have connection to it and it has no power anymore. Doesn't mean that at all.
Okay. Yeah, there's some mourning.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so if you have difficulty with grief, or you got a whole lot of unprocessed grief in there, keep that in mind, because it could make your personal experience a little challenging and might need to be taken into account relative to how you take care of yourself and what support you might need.
Okay.
Okay. So the human story in all kinds of places around the world feels like it's coming to an end. Cycles are. Absolutely. No two ways about it. But it's also pinging against an existential terror. We're about to annihilate ourselves. Hang on. Are we? Is that the only potential? Because one of the challenges that's up in the air with this is, do you believe in humanity's redemptive capacity? Are you willing to contribute to it, to lean in? That's a big one. And how do you do that? How do you do that? Without trying to do all the heavy lifting yourself, without going into magical thinking, without shutting down. Oh shit. Like it's big. This season is big. And we're in the powerless phase. Erica says Sylvia has had her hand up for a bit. Are you okay, Peggy, if I go speak with Sylvia?
Yes, please. Thank you. Thanks, Sylvia.
Hi, I had to turn my mic on. Wow. Thank you, Lisa, for just all of this. I can't even tell you. Once again, you have just illuminated with a huge spotlight what I've been experiencing based on all these forces at play and how they've been engaging and how it's been subterranean in the whole Pluto sphere. And the big example I have of it, which relates to what everyone's talking about here in terms of power, is, you know, I always take a birthday trip off continent.
Yeah.
And this year, I didn't actually get my birthday trip together until like the beginning of this week or whatever. Which is just unheard of. Usually it's by some
months. I know.
And where I thought I was going to go, at the first, changed to a second place, which
Uh-huh.
ended up in a third place because things kept shifting.
Mhm.
And where I'm ending up is based on what I've heard you say today, I realize I'm ending up in a place of intentional travel because I'm actually returning to Bali.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and here's the thing, the connection to power. Because I'd forgotten about this, but I hadn't even thought about this in terms of returning to Bali. But Bali is a place where their sort of wisdom, their traditional daily spiritual practice of power is
Mm,
a return to harmony
right,
for the world.
right.
And so, all of a sudden, these pieces, when everything you said, they all started to fall in, and it was like the veil was lifted. I'm like, oh, that's why.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, thank you. I mean, it's so clarifying to hear and have a sense of how these forces are actually interacting and partnering with us without us even realizing
Realizing. Yep.
the potency of our,
Yep.
and their
Hello.
kind of sense that we can't even see initially.
Yes, ma'am.
It's all happening.
Yes, ma'am. That's a big reason why my work exists the way it does. It's here to help us see what's moving in us and through us and around us we cannot see, can't acknowledge, don't know how, and are made less able to partner as a result. And we often find ourselves, without meaning to, working at cross purposes because indoctrination and how we've been taught to be, what else do we have to lean into? So yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Hear you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
When are you leaving?
On the 29th of November. Right at the last day of Mercury retrograde.
My goodness, take paper, my friend.
Yeah, I always do.
Okay, good.
Sylvia, at least you're going after the retrogrades. Dummy me is gone from the 14th till the 23rd.
Oh my goodness. Well, just wrap yourself. Call in all the travel spirits too.
I'm just hoping
Aw.
that my husband lives through this trip.
Oh dear.
Oh boy.
I'm thinking of you, Erica.
So I'm going to use this as an opportunity to remind us all, if we plan to travel, check the Mercury dates, retrograde dates. Tune in. Okay? Like big gold stars.
I feel somewhat attacked.
We talked about this yesterday.
I know, I still feel attacked.
Well, you know how I feel about that.
I'm gonna be killing a couple of trees, printing all of my.
Oh my gosh. No. Thank you so much, Sylvia. Thank you. And good travels. Good travels. We'll be talking before you go, won't we? You and I? Did you go?
Yes, we will.
Okay, good.
Mhm.
I just, I had two thumbs up hoping that we were.
Yes, absolutely.
I can't remember the date now, but yeah, thanks.
Yeah. And now that I have this revelation, things will be a lot clearer.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay. Anybody else have anything they want to share or ask?
Yeah, I just wanted to add something when you were talking about ancestors inside of like a big A ancestors.
I can't hear you, Maggie.
Oh, I wanted to talk about, can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Okay, when you mentioned about ancestors, like big A ancestors,
Yeah.
that I just found out like 2 nights ago about an indivisible event, which indivisible's an active group. Yeah. So, and it's literally one of them is centered around the Day of the Dead. And
Yes.
it's a vigil for those who have been disappeared in America and those who've disappeared and died. There's 23 of them we know, but also for those who have been disappeared and are being disappeared. And it's really like a call to action, this particular one, of all of that ancestor part and the vigil holiness or spiritualness of it.
Yeah.
And so I've been really moved to participate, or if there isn't one near us, whether I actually volunteered to lead one. But, and a lot of times, religious leaders, whether traditional religion or not, tend to go to those. So it's pretty powerful from what I've heard.
Yep. More
All
powerful
different
than most
faiths.
people understand it is.
Yeah. And I
Yep.
just got it just from hearing about a couple that have already happened. And I was just like, whoa.
Yep.
So, yeah.
And a really interesting coincidence. You're welcome, Shauna. A really interesting coincidence that it takes place with that timing.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. And I mean, some of the people I know, there's some awareness, obviously, because they said it's the weekend of the Day of the Dead. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I just think it's like taking me even deeper into it, like the
Yeah.
mystery of it, but
Yeah.
also the necessity
Necessity of it.
of it. Yes.
Yeah. There's I don't know how many people here are Lord of the Rings fans, and no, I'm just gonna say it.
Yes.
So there's a set of scenes in which the dead who have kind of remained inside a purgatory inside the mountain are, and that there's a story about that. The king, who is Aragorn, goes to the mountain before he has been acknowledged and returned to, quote unquote. There's a lot of patriarchal mythology alive in there, so keep in mind that's there. I'm very aware. So when the king, or the rightful king, goes to the mountain, number one, he's the one that can release them from purgatory, and two, he has the right to command them. And Aragorn goes to them, and there's thousands of them, warriors, and he essentially says, I need you to help me fight the forces that are attempting to plunge us into darkness. Okay? I need you to help me fight the forces that are attempting to plunge us into darkness. Now, there's more to it than that, but they then decide, because they still have the right to decide, because they're gauging whether or not he's the rightful king. They actually jump on board the ships that then travel to the harbor, where they're going to engage the forces of darkness. And those on shore look at them and laugh, because all they see are the living humans. And then the dead take shape. They're transparent, but they have shape. And they jump off the ships and engage. Now, I'm not so again, thinking about power over, fighting. Remember, Pluto and Mars govern Pluto, but Pluto's out of bounds right now. So we're engaging with the concepts of power over, what it is to fight for, forces of darkness, the cycle of Pluto, where something must die in order for the next iteration to rise into life. But we're also looking at working with our ancestors in the name of what is possible now. Sylvia just put it in the chat. That's an incredible Lord of the Rings scene of ancestral power for the good. Now, there's still overlay. We're working ourselves out of that, but the aim is for the good of all. And it's also So who's telling themselves a story that this is about the good of all and it ain't? There's lots and lots and lots of layers. You and I, all of us are being called to wade in and ask those questions, engage them, live the questions so we can live our way into the answers. Fair?
Yeah.
And so the going to, so I think what's really interesting about Aragorn's role as quote unquote the Return of the King, because this is in the film The Return of the King, if I remember correctly. The king, quote unquote, is a symbol of sovereignty, self-possession. It is not the usual understanding. If you think about it mythologically and symbolically, it is the sovereign calling upon the ancestors. Take that with you. Hold it in your heart, okay?
Yeah, because it's probably the one calling on my courage the most.
I'm sorry, I can tell you're talking, but it's very muffled, Maggie.
Oh, I just said that this one is calling on me my courage.
Yeah.
Because often I used to at these kind of events.
Yeah.
So it's really the darkness and
Yeah.
the violence of the darkness.
I understand.
So I feel like this really will ask a lot of courage.
Good. I'm also going to say this, and it might upset a few people. The progressive side of things is also carrying some violence and darkness, and we need to be honest about that.
Yeah, of course there is.
Good. Because it's not one-sided. That's never the truth. And that's not easy to let ourselves see. Okay, folks, we are, it's 8 minutes before the top of the hour, the second hour. We've been here a good long time. Oh, and Sylvia says, and the king was able to return because of his journey of shared sovereignty. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Sylvia. Anybody have an urgent burning question or share before we call it a day? Okay. Thank you for being here, friends. I cannot tell you clearly enough how important it is we pay attention to what's moving. I cannot tell you. Our proxies are working hard for us in ways they have before, but not with the conditions and the capacities of humanity that exist right now. Just haven't. Thank you for investing yourself. Not just because you want your month to go as well as possible so you can serve better and exist better, but so you can be an active partnered participant in what's moving through humanity now. I'll never be able to thank you enough for that. I'm grateful to stand with you. Please make sure you've got Live for December and Live for 2026 in your calendar. Please tell folks about Live for 2026. And take good care of yourselves. We'll be back here again, not too long. And if you're listening to this replay, please come over to Soul Map Live Facebook group. It's private. I'd love to hear your shares, your questions. Okay. And if Emotion Map is calling your name, go get yourself. Okay. Please, if you're still here and you want to say goodbye, toggle your microphone on.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks.
Be
Bye.
safe, everyone. Thank
Bye.
you. Nice to hear your voices. Bye-bye.